Well, hiya, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. Wanted to come to you today with a Friday Reads. Need to try to get that going on my channel every single week. I wanna do that recap or that update on my reading, and here on BookTube, Friday's the day to do that. And so it is Friday, so I wanted to talk to you about what I got read these last few days. I know I just did a weekly reads on Monday, so I'm just talking about basically the last 4 to 5 days worth of reading. But I did finish a couple of books. One of them I had been working on for quite some time, and I really kind of put my nose to the grindstone here and really got going on it. And it actually falls into this second quarter of a Historathon 2023. It actually falls into the time period. So maybe it was good that I waited to finish it. But the book that I finished earlier in the week was Barbara Tuchman's A Distant Mirror, The Calamitous 14th Century. And this was a part of Steve Donahue's book club that he was doing. And I wanted to do the read along with him, but there was no way I was going to be able to keep up at the pace that he can read and what they were wanting to get read. Because I have too many books I'm working on, and to be honest, with school, sometimes things come up and I have to put my reading, kind of to the side in order to get my school stuff done, or else I might get in trouble. So I kind of slowly picked my way through this. I was buddy reading it with Brian at Brian MR, his channel, and I was probably going a little bit too slow for Brian, and I totally understand that. And he went ahead and finished it, and I put the book on the side table and just kind of left it there for a few weeks. And then I finally started picking at it. And these last, especially 2 weeks, I have really been kind of hammering on this, and I finally finished it. And it's a good sized book. I mean, you're talking 677 pages total. If you include the index and notes, I think it was 597 pages of text. And the text is not big text at all. I mean, it's pretty small text. And so it was, you had to power through it. Now, when I say that, I don't want you to think that the book was bad. It was not bad at all. I really enjoyed the book. It was just, for me, a slower read. And I think I've said that on the channel before. It read a little slower for me. And I struggle with those if I don't have a lot of time a lot of sit down time to sit and actually get a big chunk done. And during school year, I just don't have that. I have a little bit of a small block of time in the morning, and that just wasn't enough to get the big chunks done that I wanted to get done to make me feel like I was making progress. But anyway, I did power through this. I wanted to get it done during, I didn't want to wait till after second quarter, because this falls within the second quarter of Historathon 2023. So that worked out perfect. Now, this story, Barbara Tuchman follows Cusi, I think is how you say it, if I remember right, who is a nobleman in France. And basically it just follows the adventures of his life and how he becomes an important, basically a diplomat of sorts, as he goes back and forth. He's kind of all over the place in Europe, dealing with various diplomatic issues with other countries. And he gets involved in some of the crusade stuff, and it's just an amazing life story how much he did. And considering I had never heard of him before this book, I had never heard of a lot of the people they talk about in this book. I think we got a light that's going to go out here pretty quick, so I'll try to get this video done before the light goes out. But anyway, really good book. Like I said, it follows his life. It takes us clear to the end of the 14th century, and it hits on just about any and every topic you would want to hit on dealing with the Middle Ages. From the knights and what they wore and what they went to battle in, to the food that they ate, to the relationships that they had, the marriage prospects for men and women, the differences between rich and poor, or the noblemen and the peasants, the lives of the kings, whole lot of kidnapping and holding for ransom of kings and noblemen. I thought that was that was pretty interesting, and what an entire nation would do to get back one person, how many people they were willing to sacrifice, and how much money they were willing to sacrifice to get back one person. I thought that was kind of interesting. And then the other really big one was that was interesting, sad, but interesting, was just the lives of women in this time period. They were, to put it about as simply as I can, they were pawns in the overall scheme of things. The way that they used women as marriage prospects to hold together alliances and stuff like that was just, it was kind of weird. Of course, it's, I mean, different standards of than what we have today, obviously. I mean, you've got guys in their late 20s marrying a 6-year-old, and I don't know that that means that they were having, you know, physical relationship with them necessarily, but still it's weird. And you know, you get people being married off to a 2-year-old just to create the alliance. The idea that a guy in his late 40s or maybe even early 50s is marrying a, you know, like a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old, that kind of stuff just weirds me out. And I know in our Voxer chat, Brian and I talked about that it was kind of weird, and definitely different than what we see today. And thankfully we got rid of that. But anyway, you know, just different things in this book. It covers the whole spectrum. And I thought Barbara Tuchman did a good job. Sometimes you get almost bogged down in it. So I gave it a 4-star, you know, on my Goodreads. I believe I 4-starred it just because it's on the verge of being a 5-star. But the way it bogged me down with so much detail, it was just, I don't know how to describe it. It kind of slowed me down because there was almost too much. But anyway, I thought it was overall a pretty decent book. Learned a lot as I was listening to it and reading it, because I was doing a little bit of both on my audio. I was doing the audio while I was reading it to help me speed things up, and that actually helped me because I was able to hear the story as I was reading along. And that was something I tried for the first time. I don't remember doing that before. I just wanted to try it to see if it could help me speed through it a little bit, and it definitely helped. It definitely helped to do that. So I don't know that I'll do it on very many other books, but I did do it on this one. So I do recommend it if you got a chunk of time to read. The other book that I finished this week, or was it yesterday? Was it yesterday I finished it, I think? I think I finished both of these yesterday, was Agatha Christie's The Secret Adversary. And this is the first of the Tommy and Tuppence mysteries. This was the very first one to kick that off. She did a handful of these with those two being her main characters. And I really enjoyed this. This was a fun read, and she does a little twist at the end that I did not see coming. I thought I had the person pinned down. I did have it down to the final 2. I caught that early in the book. It was in my head. I was like, I bet it's one of these 2. And then as we got real close to the end, I picked one, and it wasn't him. She did a little flip-flop at the end and surprised me. But anyway, this is the story of during World War I, or right after World War I. We have some secret documents going across on the Lusitania. You can see that in the picture there. Kind of a neat cover, I thought. But secret documents going, and as they are trying to put people in lifeboats, they are not going to be able to get everybody into the lifeboats, and they're putting women and children in first. And the guy that's carrying the secret documents gives the secret documents to a girl and gives her instructions. Since you're probably going to survive and I'm probably not, do this, take it to this certain building, give it to these people. And from that point on, the chase is on, because there are bad guys that are hunting down those documents. They want to use them for evil purposes. And the whole story is centered around the labor movements that were going on in England at the time. And the bad guys are going to use, a potential strike that's going to shut down the country. They're going to use that in their plan. And basically, Tommy and Tuppence have been hired to basically track down this girl, track down the documents, and try to prevent this major event from happening. And I gave this a 4 star as well. It's, for me, it's really, really close to a 5 star just because I really liked it. It read very smoothly. The story, you can totally understand the story. There's nothing that you're, scratching your head about saying, what's going on here? I got lost. There was none of that. The only thing I had a problem with was at the very beginning of the story, as she's setting up Tommy and Tuppence, setting up their basic scheme to become, I don't know if we call them spies, but working for the spy network and stuff. They kind of just jump right into it, and there's no gradual setup to getting that job. And I just don't think that's how you get those kind of jobs. I think there's some training involved. I think that you got to go through the training. You got to have some experience and all of this. And they're like basically fresh out of school or fresh out of some life experience. They're like, yeah, let's just start this club or let's start this business and hire ourselves out to do secret stuff. The Adventurers Ltd. And I mean, it's a quick way to get right into the story, but not very believable. And but I forgive Agatha Christie for that because it was a very enjoyable story. So highly recommend that one. Highly recommend. This is my second Tommy and Tuppence book. I read one of the older ones as well. I've got to get the next ones in line, but I've enjoyed these. They're fast-paced, cozy, a little bit cozy mysteries. So now let's get into what I'm working on right at this very moment, a couple of the books. First of all, I don't have the book with me because it's at school, but I am working on John Meacham's the new biography that came out on Lincoln. And is it Then There Will Be Light or something like that? I can't remember the exact title. It just won the Lincoln Award a night or two ago. They did the announcement and the ceremony and everything. It just won the Lincoln Award, and I've been working through that at school during our SSR period because I want the kids to see that, I love Lincoln. I'm very open about that with the kids, and I love reading about the Civil War, and I want them to see that just because I know a little bit about that doesn't mean that I stop my learning, and I want them to, see that I am currently and constantly reading about this subject matter that I am trying to teach them in class because I don't know everything and I want to, just build on my knowledge. And so that book is at school. I'm not super far in it, but it's pretty good so far. So I have that one at school. I also am working on Ian Fleming's last James Bond book, Octopus. I don't want to say the full title, but anyway, it's a really short novel, and I'm 30 pages into it, and it's only like 130 pages or something like that. So I've been reading that, enjoying that so far, and I'll probably knock that out this weekend. And what else is up on the nightstand? I had one other book. It's a history book about Manhattan Island or Long Island, one of the two, when the Dutch owned New York, basically. And it's Russell Shorto, I think is the author's name. And I was getting ready to get that started. That's up on the nightstand. Haven't really gotten into it yet because I started reading that Ian Fleming novel, that James Bond novel. But I am in chapter 4 on Egypt's Golden Couple. This was one, I'm a little bit late on this. I wanted to read this for Historathon 2023, the first quarter, because it falls into our first quarter of reading. So I'm a little bit late, but I wanted to get these. I have a couple of these I want to get done. So I know it's going to take a little bit away from my second quarter, but I did want to clean up that TBR that I created, and so, or at least clean up some of it. And this was one of them. Peg over at the History Shelf sent me this, and I wanted to get through it. And this is very interesting. It's talking about just the couple themselves early on, their family, where they come from in their reign, like the order of the rulers, and talking about how they connect it with the religions of Egypt, and it's pretty fascinating so far. I'm enjoying this. Totally out of my comfort zone. I don't know anything about it. I'm a blank slate when it comes to Egypt stuff. So this has been pretty good. Like I said, I'm in the 4th chapter. The other one I started this morning, as I promised you I'd get this started this week, is Baseball in Blue and Gray, the national pastime during the Civil War. And this is my opening day book for the month of April, since we're going to be starting the Civil War in my 8th grade history class, and I'm supposed to be reading one baseball book a month for my opening day project, and this is by George B. Kirsch. This was my selection for this month. I thought this went hand in hand with everything, and I got the introduction read this morning, getting ready to get into chapter 1 on probably later today, if not tomorrow morning. So those are what I'm reading right now. And then I think in this next week, I also have 3 others that I will end up starting, and they're really short. I would like to get started this biography on Louis the 14th. It's a real short one. I found it at the bookstore, and it's by David Ogg. And again, really short. I don't know how much is actually going to be in this, being this short a biography on Louis XIV, because he had a really long reign in France. But it's only 152 pages. The actual text is 143, so it's a really short biography, short and compact, which is kind of what I wanted on the monarchs, because that's what we're studying right now. We're studying the monarchs of Europe. So another book that I would like to get started this week, and I heard about this event, and I do not have a full knowledge of this event, but I might want to try to participate along with everybody. I got to figure out what the rules and parameters and stuff are, but some of the channels out there have announced BookTube going to war or something like that, and it's historical, or excuse me, it's war in fiction. And so I recently picked up for $1 John Knowles' A Separate Peace in this nice paperback here, this trade paperback, and I wanted to revisit this. I've read this before, probably a couple different times, but it's been quite a while since I did read it, and I wanted to pick that up and read it. And I had heard about that BookTube event, and I think this should go in with that. So looking forward to that. And then my next baseball book that I'm going to start, and that I think is going to be pretty short, I should be able to get through it pretty quick, and I've showed you this before, is the W.P. Kinsella, the Dixon Corn Belt League and Other Baseball Stories. And it's got, nice baseball on top of some cherry pie, classic American, right? So pretty short novel, and looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a fun read. W.P. Kinsella, of course, is the one that wrote Field of Dreams is the movie, and it's, what is the name of the book? Surely it's on here. Shoeless Joe. And that was a wonderful baseball book, wonderful movie, one of my all-time favorite movies. And so that's the same author. But those are my planned reads, what I am reading, what I finished, and just what I want to get into this week, BookTube. So maybe that gave you some ideas on what to read. I know a little bit of that is the same as what I did on Monday, but I put a few new things in there. So hopefully this helps you a little bit. Be looking forward to Sunday. I'm going to put out a book haul video that is, I'll probably film it tomorrow morning when I've got a little bit more time. But I have picked up a lot of books that I got to show you. I've got them stacked over on the table, and I know my wife's ready for me to clean it up. So I want to show those to you before I start the cleanup process. And I've just gotten a bunch of them. Some of them are in the mail. Some of them are ones that I found at Books Revisited or the Jesse James Outlet Mall. And I found another bookstore, a new bookstore in St. Joe. It's a used books, and I wanted to show you those. So anyway, BookTube, thank you for watching. If you've lasted this long, I appreciate that. Thank you to all the new subscribers. And I think yesterday I finally cleaned up my comments section. I think I've answered or I had up to that point answered all of my backlog. I had 2 or 3 weeks worth of messages, and I do apologize for that, but I did get them cleaned up. So I'll try to keep that cleaned up. And I look forward to conversing with you in the comments section. So until next time, BookTube, happy reading.